Pokemon Legends ZA has only been out a little over a month now, but this game has me by the throat. This has genuinely been one of my favorite games of the last few years, and is by far my favorite Nintendo Switch era Pokemon game. The game's pretty, the story is super interesting, the new megas are incredible, and most importantly, this game is just really fun. So fun in fact, I decided I didn't want to just rush through the game. I wanted to see everything Legends ZA had to offer, no matter how long it took. This is my journey to 100% Pokemon Legends ZA. I hope you enjoy. Our journey began on a train bound for the gem at the center of the Kalos region, Lumiose City. Before I could even get my bearings in the big city, a strange creature stowed away in my bag, I was asked to commit an FTC violation, and a panda bear cub ran away with all my worldly possessions. After a short chase down an alleyway, I was tasked with battling Pancham's trainer even though I didn't have a single Pokemon in my name. Thankfully, my new friend Tawny was willing to lend me one of her 3 partner Pokemon, Chikorita, Tepig, and Totodile. Ever since they announced the starters, I've gone back and forth on which one would join me on my journey. Well, it was really between Tepig and Totodile. Love you, Chikorita, but it was never going to be you. I ended up choosing Tepig as my starter since I hadn't used any of the Tepig line since my first Pokemon Black playthrough, which was about 14 years ago. Christ, I'm old. Now that I had my first Pokemon, it was time for my first battle in Legends ZA. I was honestly pretty skeptical about the combat in this game since we've never had anything like this in a Pokemon game before. But even after a super simple tutorial battle where both Pokemon only knew Tackle, I was immediately hooked. With Pancham defeated and my bag reclaimed, Tawny gave me Tepig's Pokeball, which officially made him my first Pokemon. And to make it official, I of course had to give him a nickname. Welcome to the team, Pork and Beans. Unbeknownst to me, the streets of Lumiose become a war zone at night, and before I knew it, Tawny and I were backed into a corner. Too bad for your guests, once you step into a battle zone, you're a target like everyone else. Do people in Lumiose City not understand the concept of consent? This is like if somebody tried to mug you, and then a hydrogen bomb just walked into the scene. Please no. Please no. I'm sorry, I didn't realize Floette could fire off the Kamehameha. Nicely done, Floette. But maybe you should save that Light of Ruin move for when it really counts, huh? Nerdy, let me introduce you to Floette. She's a very special Pokemon. She's apparently 3,000 years old. Thanks to Floette, those troublemakers cleared off. Let's hurry to the safe spot, Hotel Z. Thankfully, AZ's Eternal Floette was able to safely guide us to our base of operations for the rest of the game, Hotel Z, a rustic little building owned by everyone's favorite immortal war criminal, AZ. One of the few characters from Pokemon X and Y that makes an appearance in this game. Tawny then recruited us into Team MZ, a group that lives at the hotel and works to make Lumiose City a better place. The next morning, Tawny explained that the trainers who accosted us weren't just doing it for fun. They were competitors in the ZA Royale, a citywide tournament that happens every night hosted by the mysterious Quasartico Inc. Trainers start at rank Z and have to work their way up to rank A, and whoever reaches rank A first gets a wish granted by the company. So after a quick outfit change, I officially signed up for the ZA Royale. I then got to meet another member of Team MZ, Lita. While it's never stated officially, the game heavily implies that she's the younger sister of Tierno from Pokemon X and Y. I've made it no secret that I'm not the biggest fan of Gen 6, and a huge part of that is because I hate the rival characters in the game. But Tierno was the sole exception, and hearing that he achieved his dreams of becoming a professional dancer was actually great to hear. After a quick battle against Tawny, it was finally time to enter the first of many wild zones. Part of Quasartico's effort to make Lumiose a place for people and Pokemon involved them carving out entire city blocks for just Pokemon to live, which as a video game mechanic is pretty cool, but in universe, this sounds like a nightmare. But who cares, I'm just a tourist who's ready to start catching some Pokemon. While the me from the past focuses on catching Pokemon, now seems a good time to answer an important question. What exactly does it take to 100% Legends ZA? While many of the completion tasks won't become relevant until later, there's a pretty big one worth talking about now. My absolute favorite part of completing any Pokemon game, the Pokédex. The Legends ZA Pokédex has 230 Pokemon to register, and unlike Legends Arceus, actually requires trading with another game to complete. It's also important to note that I didn't just want to complete the Pokédex, I wanted to complete a living dex. This means that instead of evolving my Tepig to the highest level to check off all the dex entries, I would need to evolve my Tepig into Emboar and obtain another Tepig and Pignite to own every individual member of the line. While I was on my catching spree in Wild Zone 1, I also stumbled upon my second team member. Oh, wait, I forgot Mega Beedrill's in this game. I love Mega Beedrill and have literally never had a chance to use it, so I have to use it here. And his name, Dart. It's also worth noting that I added a Mareep to my team just to get him enough experience to evolve, but I eventually fell in love with him and added him to the team. His name is Dumbbell. After spending way more time catching Pokemon than I should have, I made it to the other side of Zone 1 and entered the Sycamore Research Lab. Now helmed by a new lead researcher, Mabel. You probably couldn't tell from the logo on her laptop or gamer chair, but back in Gen 6, Mabel was once a high-up member of Team Flare. For registering more than 5 Pokemon in my Pokedex, Mabel recognized me as her research assistant, and I unlocked Mabel's research tasks. This is by far one of the largest completionist tasks to take care of in this game. Unlike Legends Arceus giving each Pokemon their own list of research tasks, ZA opts for a more Battle Pass-like system. There's only a handful of tasks, but you unlock more levels for each one as you progress through the game. The tasks range from catching Pokemon of a certain type, to filling out the Pokedex, to winning battles against other trainers. So many battles. As you complete tasks, your research level will increase, and for every level, you earn special items. Most of the time you get TMs, but every once in a while you can earn EXP candies, bottle caps, and eventually the shiny charm for reaching the max level of 50. I also find it funny that Mabel admits that the research tasks are her way of pawning her work off on other people, but I don't mind none. When a scary blue-haired woman tells me what to do, I sit my ass down and listen. Exiting Mabel's lab, I ran into the final Team MZ member and aspiring fashion designer, Naveen. I immediately doubted his eye for fashion when he gifted me a fedora to complete my outfit, as he put it, but he'd eventually win me over. Also, for the entire first stream, I thought Naveen was a girl. My bad, dude. Before returning to Hotel Z, I headed back to Wild Zone 1 to catch the final Pokemon in the area. Pichu! Oh, thanks for the phone. He ran from me. This game sucks. Never mind, I take it all back. Pichu? Baby, baby. Baby. And that's another on the list. We are 9 down in the living dex. Oh, that's so cool. It has completion. It has a completion tracker. Oh, I am 100%ing the out of this game. After meeting back up with Tawny at the hotel, night fell over the city and it was time for my first battles in the ZA Royale. With Pork and Beans and Dart, I easily defeated the 3 tutorial trainers, earned my first challenger's ticket, and was ready for my first promotion match. Zach's a taxi driver as far as I know. He should be waiting here for fares. There, that's him. Zach's fought a lot of promotion matches. He has a lot of experience, but not in winning. I take it you're nerdy. One more kid, searching for glory in the wild Racacia battlegrounds, huh? Sounds simple, doesn't it? You start at rank Z, you climb to rank A. You'll learn, kid. You'll learn how much easier it is said than done. It's you against every other trainer who wants to be the strongest in Lumiose. Now let's get your promotion match started, shall we? Suppose you think you're gonna win? Climb over me to reach the next rank? Yeah, I'm gonna win. Well, I won't make it easy for you because this taxi driver has a taxi dream. I'm going to reach rank A and abolish all forms of transit in Lumiose City except taxis. That's crazy. We're challenged by Zach the driver. Now Slowpoke. Eee. Not the greatest matchup, but we've got some scrubs in the back. Oh, he survived. Oh, that's one down. Come on, Pork and Beans. This last one loses, I'll be stuck at rank Z, but I believe in my Pokemon. He's got Pikachu, who looks really good in this game. Oh my god, dude. The battle system in this game is so good. Victory. This is my 100th time watching an opponent get promoted instead of me. I lose again. That makes 100 times I've lost my promotion match. This is why they call me Les Eternels. Your victory is confirmed. Congratulations. Now processing your promotion. 25 to go. Did I do that math right? Promoted to rank Y. Is this my girl? This is Emma, Lumiose City's top detective and certified cutie patootie. As someone who really enjoyed the post-game of Pokemon X, I was super excited to see Emma make a return in this game and was glad to see her doing well after all this time. It does drive me crazy that she doesn't mention Looker or Xerosic once by name in ZA, but I'm sure I'll find some way to forgive her. After a celebratory dinner with Team MZ, Tawny offered to show me around the city the next morning. As we exited the hotel, we ran into Tarragon and his employees from Racine Construction. This wacky crew gifted me a plushie of famed streamer Canary, which increased the amount of EXP my Pokemon could earn. In order to collect even more plushies, I need to find the many colorful screw collectibles that Racine Construction scattered throughout the city. In total, there are 5 kinds of plushies with 3 levels each. Red plushies increase EXP yield, gold plushies increase prize money from trainer battles, pink plushies increase the amount of mega shards earned from breaking mega crystals, green plushies make it less likely you'll be knocked out by wild Pokemon, and blue plushes increase your chances of catching Pokemon. You need 16 screws to get the highest level of each plush, and since Tarragon already gave me the level 1 red plush, I needed 77 screws to collect them all. Surely that meant there were only 77 screws to get, right? Right? Tawny's Tour of Lumiose eventually led me to Wild Zone 2, where I now had a new group of monsters to add to the dex. As I entered the area, I received a notification from Mabel that I now had a research task requiring me to catch every Pokemon in Wild Zone 2. This will be a consistent task for every Wild Zone in the game, and since I was planning on completing the dex anyway, this was a really easy way to increase my research level. However, after exploring the entirety of Zone 2, I was unable to find the final Pokemon. Eventually, I found out that Pokemon was Staryu, who only appears at night, so I'd have to come back later to 100% this zone. I also have to note that it was surreal to see Patrat running around in the wild in this game. Not only is this the first Switch game to have the Patrat line in it, but this is the first time Patrat has been available in the wild since Pokemon Black and White 2 in 2012. This little guy hasn't been catchable since the Obama administration. Good to see you, little man. Tawny and I then met up for coffee before heading over to Wild Zone 3, where a new wacky character awaited us. This is Ivor, leader of the Fist of Justice and a stupid man. His goal is to abolish the Wild Zone barrier so people and Pokemon can truly live together. His solution to keeping people safe from the aggressive Pokemon? Teaching everyone in the city how to fight Pokemon in hand-to-hand combat. Stupid man. After beating one of his pupils right in front of him, Dart was able to evolve into Beedrill, and I entered the infamous Wild Zone 3. For those in the know, yes, I'll talk more about this area later. With a quick sweep of Zone 3, I caught every available Pokemon and earned a whopping 1,000 research points for my efforts. Tawny and I then met up at the Looker Bureau, where Emma asked me to help her with her detective work. This is the introduction of Legends EA's side missions. Very similar to the requests from Legends Arceus, side missions will see us travel to every nook and cranny of the city to help out Lumiose's most incompetent citizens. There are a whopping 119 side missions to complete, on top of the 42 missions in the main story. Needless to say, getting all of these done was quite the daunting task. That being said, I love the side missions in this game. Not only does every single one reward you with money and a handful of items, but they're just really fun scenarios that help flesh out Lumiose City and its people. I can't find the person who tweeted it, but someone online pointed out that a lot of the side missions feel like scenarios Ash would deal with in the Pokemon anime, and I 100% agree. This will become more apparent the further I get into the game, but for now, I had 3 tutorial missions to ease me into the grind. The first side quest required entering Wild Zone 4 to retrieve this woman's lost ring. This is the first part of the game that made me realize how crazy it is to have entire city blocks sectioned off specifically for wild Pokemon. This poor lady was just trying to visit her late husband's grave and got mugged by a wild Sableye. There's probably a conversation to be had here about urbanization and the fragile ecosystem of the Pokemon world and maybe even our own world, but who cares? There's Pokemon to catch. While I couldn't find the last Pokemon needed to 100% the zone, the EXP gained from my catching spree allowed Pork Beans to evolve into Pignite. Look at him. Look at my round son. On my way to the next quest, I happened upon one of Lumiose City's shopping districts and decided to change up my outfit. And boy is it super refreshing to have in-depth character customization back after being locked to the school uniforms of Paldea. I could actually see myself wearing this outfit in real life. Finally, I arrived at the second side mission where this woman wants to trade her Heracross for a Pikachu so she could evolve it into Raichu. I had plenty of Pikachu left over from Wild Zone 3, so I happily obliged and was able to check off Heracross for the living dex. Registering Heracross in the dex earned me another research level and a bunch of EXP candies that I used to evolve Dumbbell into Flaffy. The third side mission from Emma had me go toe-to-toe with my first Alpha Pokemon. Alphas are massive variants of Pokemon who are way stronger than their normal sized counterparts. They actually have hidden stat buffs that go away once caught, but all Alphas caught will actually have maxed out HP EVs no matter the species. I was glad to see the Alphas make a return from Legends Arceus, but didn't know how they'd fit into the story. And after beating the game, I still don't. The guy who gives you the Alpha quest is surprised by their appearance and notes that the last time these Pokemon were around was back in the Hisui region. So what's causing the Alphas to appear now all these years later? I don't really know. What I do know is that I finished the 3 side missions and returned to Emma, who thanked me for my efforts with a Pokemon battle. Beating her caused her to show off Mega Evolution. This gimmick was first introduced in Pokemon X and Y, but was horribly utilized and felt like an afterthought shoehorned in at the last second. X and Y introduced 30 Mega Evolutions, but before beating the game, you can only use 4. The rest are either locked behind the post-game or limited time events. Not to mention that only 3 trainers use Mega Evolution in the entire game. So when the player uses it, it's essentially an automatic win button that makes an already easy game even easier. I don't mean to make it sound like I wasn't excited to have Mega Evolutions back though. I was just hoping that this time around, Game Freak would utilize the gimmick better. And wow, did they. For now, I spent some more time running around the map and filling out my decks. With a quick pass through Wild Zone 5, I was able to 100% another area, and thanks to EXP candies and a Leaf Stone, I was also able to even check off some evolutions like Victory Bell and Diggersby. Now I know I've only talked about catching Pokemon in Wild Zones, but there's actually a ton of Pokemon just running around in the city. While most are catchable through normal gameplay, some are able to be caught through side missions. Like this Chespin, who really wanted to fight this car for some reason. To calm its bloodlust, I beat it in battle 3 times in a row and obtained the first Kalos starter Pokemon. The second Kalos starter side mission would appear shortly after and would net me the next member of my team. Froakie! Okay, I actually really want to use Froakie on my team. Froakie's my favorite Kalos starter. He was my starter in X and Y. I want to use Froakie on the team. However, this Froakie wouldn't be so easy to win over, because in order to add him to my team, I had to conquer not 1, not 2, but 3 obstacle courses designed for children. Thankfully, I was able to prove my worth to Froakie and added him to the team. Welcome aboard, Osmosis Jones. In no time at all, my little frog became a slightly bigger frog and I entered Wild Zone 6. By avoiding the jaws of the Alpha Houndoom patrolling the area, I quickly 100% of the zone and had officially completed every Wild Zone so far. Except for Wild Zone 4, because somehow after running through it several times, I never encountered a Honedge. I'd eventually come back for one, but instead turned my attention to the main story. It was time to earn my challenger's ticket for the next promotion match, and there were a bunch of bonus cards scattered throughout the battle zone. These little cards give you challenges like using moves of a certain type, using super effective moves, or violating the Geneva Convention by nailing your competitors when they least expect it. Completing the bonus challenges earns you more points, which makes getting your challenger's tickets way faster. This isn't super necessary in the early game, but becomes really helpful in the late game. In no time at all, I grabbed my challenger's ticket and was ready to fight office worker Yvonne for my next promotion. Her team was no match for the might of Dart, and I was now officially rank X. The next morning, Lita encouraged Naveen and I to have a battle to get to know each other better. This would have probably worked out better if my team didn't completely mop the floor with them. Immediately after, I got notified about my next promotion match, but at this point, it was about 5:20 in the morning. I'd stayed up until midnight on launch day to play the game and was struggling to keep my eyes open at this point. So to round up my first day with ZA, I decided to take care of a few more side missions. I won a Badoo beauty contest, helped an obese Slurpuff get its groove back, and healed a sick Fennekin who I was able to add to the decks. Just shy of 6 AM, I wrapped up my first day of Legends EA, having made some pretty good progress. But believe me, we still had a lot to do. Thanks for watching this far into the video. If you've enjoyed it so far, I'd appreciate you liking the video and subscribing. I've got a lot of projects in the works that will be coming out over the next few months that I'm really excited to share with you all. Also, if you're looking for some really long form content, the entire stream archive of my Legends EA streams will be available in a playlist linked in the description. I typically like to stream on Twitch, at twitch.tv/nerdyedits, but I decided to stream on YouTube for my first playthrough of the game. Thanks again for watching, and let's get back to the video. At the start of day 2, I dove headfirst into the story to try and make some solid progress. For the next promotion match, I had to fight a literal child who insisted I gave off rank X vibes. If I knew what that meant, I'd probably be offended. After reaching rank W, I ran right back to the battle zones, earned another challenger's ticket, and jumped into my next promotion match against a restaurant worker who kinda looks like that woman who would run a McDonald's like the Navy. Just like the Patrat line, it was crazy to see this guy throw out the elemental monkeys. Last time they were available was in X and Y, and it's crazy to see the switch up. People have been clowning on the Gen 5 monkeys for years, but since ZA came out, I've seen nothing but positive reactions to them being back. While I'm not their biggest fan, it is good to see them again after all this time. Happy as I was, the monkeys stood no chance against my team, and I was able to advance to the next rank. But as I exited the restaurant, the real story of the game was about to begin. Nerdy, it's Emma! Listen, I received a tip that the Pokemon I've been after is in your area right now. That cried just now. Did you see what kind of Pokemon it came from? It's a black Pokemon. Whatever you do, don't let the Pokemon out of your sight, Nerdy. Based on its cry in your description, I have a reason to believe that Pokemon near you is Zygarde in its 10% form. What could it be thinking? We need to find out why it's here. I'm heading there now. Nerdy, don't lose sight of Zygarde. Not too long into the chase, Zygarde flung me onto a roof where I came face to face with a strange looking Absol. Emma and AZ showed up just in time to explain that the Absol was in danger of undergoing rogue Mega Evolution, a phenomenon where wild Pokemon are forced to Mega Evolve against their will. While I didn't have a way to Mega Evolve my Pokemon, AZ lent me his Lucario and a Mega Ring so I could knock out Absol before it could hurt itself or someone else. These rogue battles are essentially the noble battles from Arceus on steroids. The only way to do significant damage to them is by Mega Evolving your Pokemon or by using plus moves which don't unlock until later in the game. All the while, the bosses don't give a rat's ass about fighting your Pokemon. They want to put you in the obituaries and have no regards for the standards and ethics of Pokemon battles. But with AZ's Mega Lucario protecting me, I was able to take down the rogue Absol and earn my first Mega Stone, the Absolite. You get how big of a deal this is? You saved Absol from the pain of rogue Mega Evolution. But I wonder why Zygarde led you here in the first place. Essentially, the bond between a Pokemon and its trainer is what makes Mega Evolution possible. But lately, there have been incidents in Lumiose where wild Pokemon that don't have a trainer are suddenly Mega Evolving on their own. We've been calling this rogue Mega Evolution. There's a certain company that's been keeping a close eye on everything happening. To get access to their information, we've got to keep winning the ZA Royale. Is this Absol the one that rogue Mega Evolved? Seems to be grateful to Nerdy for saving it from its suffering. Some twist of fate has led your paths to cross. Perhaps you should keep this Absol at your side. Don't think I'm going to use it on my team, but that's another one in the decks. The next morning, Vinny, the CEO of Quasartico Inc.'s assistant, requested to have a meeting with Tawny and I about the rogue Mega Pokemon. But considering there were 4 new wild zones to explore and a bunch of side missions to do, he was gonna have to wait a bit. I seriously spent over 2 hours running around the city doing everything except the story. I started by hitting up Wild Zone 7, where I was able to catch every Pokemon on the first go, except for Audino and the nighttime exclusive Shuppet. Shortly after, Mabel called me to her office, where a pleasant surprise awaited me. My babies! Thanks for coming. Have you figured out what it is I need you for? What'd you just explain? Well, no, that's a dull response, isn't it? Fine, if you're gonna be so very boring, then I'll just get to the point. See, my predecessor left me with a little homework. He asked me to entrust some of his Pokemon to any interesting trainers I came across in my work. And despite your disappointing reaction just now, you're generally pretty interesting. Don't be shy, go on and choose one. Oh, I only get to choose one right now? So I'm guessing I'll be able to get all of these guys. But for now, I'm gonna pick Charmander. Charmander's my boy! I gotta pick Charmander. With the Bulbasaur and Squirtle stands thoroughly rage-baited, I went back to knocking out side quests. Just outside of Wild Zone 1, this woman claims to have seen a Mareep with a completely different color of wool. And after climbing onto a nearby rooftop, I found the Mareep she was talking about. I came here in 2 shakes of Mareep's tail, so where is it? Where's the shiny Mareep? Mareep! Shiny! A shiny Mareep! Dude, they clocked Poketubers with that one. Oh, cool, it sparkles. That's pretty. Shiny. And the shiny has a special icon. Heck yeah, dude. I then returned to zones 4 and 7 to catch the final Pokemon needed to 100% those areas. Audino from 7 and Honedge from 4. Also added Honedge to the team, who I named Finn. Little Adventure Time reference for those of you with taste. Next on my agenda was Wild Zone 8, or as I like to call it, my own personal hell. This area is full of ground-type Pokemon that love to gang up on any trainer that dares to enter their turf. The sheer amount of Pokemon that spawn here, in addition to Sandtomb being upgraded from a coughing baby to a hydrogen bomb, makes this an extremely annoying zone to be in for more than 5 seconds. Thankfully, I was able to grab all the available Pokemon here, except for one. You see all these dirt mounds? Each of these mounds has a 92% chance of spawning Drillbur and a measly 8% chance for Gible. It took me nearly 10 minutes for my first Gible to appear, but I was unsuccessful in catching it and watched in horror as it disappeared into the fainted Pokemon void, all the while being chased by every Drillbur, Sandile, and Machop in the city. To calm my nerves, I took a detour to zones 9 and 10, whose denizens craved violence on a much more reasonable level. I quickly 100%ed both areas, evolved Dumbbell into Ampharos, and returned to the desolate landscape of zone 8 to finally secure a Gible for my collection. Gible, Ultra Ball, go! That still didn't catch? Why can I not catch Gible? There we go. Why, dude? Why is he like the hardest one to catch? I'll keep doing this as long as I have to. Obviously for Gible, but then also I'm spawning a lot of Pokemon in here. Could get my first PLZA shiny. Yes! Oh my god, dude. Just in time for the day to change. Holy crap. Some may call this a hollow victory since I still needed 2 more Gible for my living decks, but the older I get, the more I realize I need to take the little victories where I can. With every available zone at 100% completion, I finally arrived at the Quasartico Inc. building for the meeting with Vinny. The deceptively scary looking man commended me on my victory over the Rogue Mega Absol and decided to test Tawny and I to see if we were up to fighting even more Rogue Megas. The test came in the form of my next promotion match against Vinny himself, which would rocket my ranking from V all the way to F. That night, I ran through the other trainers in the battle zone and quickly realized that my spree of side content shenanigans caused my team to become a bit overleveled. I certainly didn't mind, especially since Pork and Beans was able to evolve into Emboar. With the power of my feral hog, I quickly earned my next challenger's ticket and was ready to take on Vinny. Up to this point, I've largely glossed over the promotion matches since most of them are insignificant, but from here on out, every rank up trainer is an important character to the story and has a mega evolution on their team. And Vinny here had an absolutely insane one. Is Drampa... No way! No! That's awesome! Whoa! Oh my god. Alright, power punch. Oh no, it's still... Oh no, wait, no, it could be ice, it could be ice. Holy crap, that was so cool! With Vinny defeated, my rank shot all the way up to F, Osmosis Jones evolved into Greninja, and it was finally time for the patented Pokemon mid-game lore dump. Vinny explained that when Quasartico began renovating Lumio City 2 years ago, AZ approached them and warned them that something bad was coming. A year and a half later, a rogue Mega Pidgeot suddenly appeared as a result of a strange energy known as Mega Power. This power is what was causing the wild Pokemon of Lumios to randomly Mega Evolve, and now it was up to Team MZ to put a stop to it. Why this billion-dollar corporation can't find a more efficient way to put a stop to this instead of pawning it off on a group of teenagers is beyond me. Hitting rank F also granted me access to the Quasartico Inc. building, which would allow me to exchange Mega Shards for Mega Stones. While there weren't any stones I was interested in now, I would eventually need to purchase all of these, both because I needed every Mega Stone for my collection, but I also needed to unlock every entry in the Mega Pokedex. It's also worth noting that the stock of Mega Stones at Quasartico Inc. would increase as I progressed through the story, and there's another set of stones that can only be bought from the Stone Emporium that cost a ton of in-game money. So finishing my Mega collection would end up being one of the last things I did for this run. On the way back to Hotel Z, I exchanged my small supply of colorful screws for the level 1 blue plush, which would hopefully help me whenever I was brave enough to try and catch 2 more Gibble. Arriving at the hotel, it was time for the first of many Team MZ strategy meetings on how to deal with the rogue Mega Pokemon. For some reason, these rogue Pokemon always come in threes, and the other Team MZ members expected me to take on all 3 of them, while they only had to take on 1 each time. This time, I'd have to help Naveen with Victory Bell, Lito with Camera Up, and finally, Tawny with Slowbro. I wasn't sure how well I'd fare since I didn't have a Mega Pokemon on my own, but thankfully, AZ had a gift for me before I left the hotel. Alright, I still don't have a Mega Evo on my team. So you committed yourself to saving the Pokemon suffering from Rogue Mega Evolution. In that case, you should have this. I stand corrected! Emborite! Final evolution of the Tepig you received is the Pokemon Emboar. Emboar is capable of Mega Evolution. Mind you, I hadn't seen any leaks before Z8 came out, so while I figured the starters would all be receiving Mega Evolutions, it was cool to experience this unspoiled. While I could have just Mega Evolved Pork and Beans now, I decided to wait so I could see Mega Emboar for the first time in battle. So I made my way towards the rogue Victory Bell, and along the way, I made a new little friend. Eevee! Eevee! Oh my god. Literally my favorite Pokemon of all time. I've been looking for this so long. Oh my god. Eevee, let's go! With my team now mostly complete, I was ready to help Naveen take down the rogue Mega Victory Bell, and by that of course I mean I'd be doing most of the work. And during the fight, I was finally able to see Mega Emboar for the first time. Is it time? Is it time? It's time! Mega Emboar, dude! Whoa! Oh my god! That's amazing! Pork and Bean's Mega Power was more than enough to take down Victory Bell and net me the Victory Bellite, but he wouldn't be as helpful in the next 2 battles. Mega Slowbro was an absolute bullet sponge that took more Thunderbolts than I can count from Dumbbell and a clutch last-minute X-Scissor from Dart to take down. Osmosis Jones did most of the work against Mega Camera Up, which let Pork and Beans tag in for the finisher with just a sliver of HP remaining. With all the rogue Mega Pokemon quelled, I returned to Hotel Z, where Zygarde was waiting for me. Ooh. Looks as if it wants to battle with you. Oh my gosh. Battle with the mysterious Pokemon Zygarde. Dart, I don't know if you're built for this one, Chief. But Osmosis Jones, on the other hand. Zygarde has something in its mouth. You received a Pebble. An ordinary Pebble entrusted to you by the Pokemon known as Zygarde. It is completely unremarkable. I have a feeling that Pebble is not going to be unremarkable for now. So you're the one. The Pokemon trainer that's earned the attention of Zygarde. Who are you? I beg your pardon, allow me to properly explain. He's alive. I am called L. Don't be like, don't try to be all cool like AZ, like, oh, I only go by letters. No, shut up. This is Zygarde, a Pokemon that defends the order of all things. Surely you sense it as well, the disturbance that threatens order in Lumiose. Mega crystals are erupting all over the city. This strange force, Mega Power, has emerged, and wild Pokemon are succumbing to the rogue Mega Evolution. Are you prepared to defend order in Lumiose? Can you face this task and not falter? Heck yeah, dude. I see now why Zygarde took notice of your efforts to help the rogue Mega Evolved Pokemon. Do you understand the meaning of this? You must become a Pokemon trainer worthy of standing at Zygarde's side. I know who owns this place, that 3,000-year-old man. He will face his sins, but that can wait for another time, if you'll excuse me. Holy crap, Lysander's alive? Before I could even catch my breath, I was immediately assigned my next promotion match in the ZA Royale against Canary the Streamer, someone who Naveen happens to be a big fan of. Naveen swore to protect his favorite streamer and told me he'd only help me track her down if I defeated him in battle. Anyway, Naveen disclosed that Canary only agrees to promotion matches for people who win her Canary Quiz Wiz contest. So after grabbing my next challenger's ticket, I met up with Naveen outside of the venue, who gave me an earpiece so he could help me cheat my way into a battle with Canary. Honestly, the worst part of this whole experience was having to be within smelling distance of Lumiose City's #1 Discord moderator, but thankfully I was able to quickly win the competition and was invited to Racine Construction to fight the streamer herself. But before I could take her on, Canary's grandfather Tarragon revealed that he was the one posing as the Hollow Canary during the Quiz Wiz contest and challenged me to a battle. And even though he wasn't a rank up trainer, he too had a Mega Evolution on his team. No, Mega Excadrill? Holy crap, it's a Gurren Lagann robot, dude. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it, Mega Excadrill is my favorite new Mega Evolution in the game, and it might just be my favorite all-time Mega form. Mega Excadrill looks so cool, I seriously started to consider if I wanted to replace one of my team members with Excadrill. Before I could worry about that, I wrapped up the battle with Tarragon and was finally able to take on Canary herself. Her team actually gave me some trouble, especially since my only ground type was a Diggersby named Smelliot. I was able to eventually reach Canary's final Pokemon and encountered another new Mega Evo. Oh god. Charge up on energy drinks, time to charge you up with Mega Evolution Electros. Whoa, that looks so sick, dude. But it wasn't enough. After being promoted to rank E and watching Canary have her own version of the PewDiePie Bridge incident, I returned to Hotel Z for some nasty looking croissant curry and turned in for the night. The following morning, there was another batch of rogue megas that we had to take down. Hawlucha, Bayonet, and Beedrill. I've been frothing at the mouth to get my hands on a Beedrillite since I caught Dart back in Zone 1, so I made a mad dash to take on the rogue Beedrill. On the way, Tawny also unlocked the Rotoglide feature for my phone that allowed me to glide between rooftops with varying levels of success. After taking down the inferior Beedrill, I slapped my new Megastone on Dart and snapped some selfies with my new Agent of Death, marking the end of Day 2. At the start of Day 3, I helped Team MZ take down both the rogue Hawlucha and Bayonet. Both of these were actually pretty difficult, and Hawlucha became the first Pokemon to cause me to black out. Bayonet was by far the most unique rogue Pokemon, as it constantly made copies of itself to make it hard to hit the right one. It felt like the Poe mini-boss fights from Ocarina of Time. Despite the setbacks, I was able to topple both of the rogue Megas and grab 2 new Megastones for the collection. Back at Hotel Z, I got a notification that my next promotion match would be against Ivor, the low IQ troglodyte we met earlier outside of Wild Zone 3. But before going to find him, I decided I'd spend a little bit of time taking care of some side missions, and I never really stopped. I streamed for 7 hours on Day 3, which is both the longest stream of the playthrough and the longest stream I've ever done. And during the stream, I only spent 80 minutes working on the story. What started out as an interest in knocking out a couple of side missions turned into me obsessively completing every side mission I had access to. And by far, this was probably my favorite session of playing this game. After knocking out a few side quests, I realized there were several new wild zones available filled with Pokemon begging to be caught. Running through these new zones helped me put a big dent in my living dex. Not only was I able to 100% every zone for the research tasks, but my team was strong enough now to take on the higher level alphas, which helped me skip out on some annoying evolution methods. But as I continued my adventures through Lumiose, one of my unfinished tasks was still bothering me. And you know what? I want to come back here and I want to get 2 more Gibble. Oh yeah, this... Shiny! Oh, shiny, shiny, shiny Drillbur! Shiny Drillbur! Yes, dude, my first ZA shiny! And it's one that can Mega Evolve! So shinies apparently never despawn. Go, and Dusk Ball. Let's go, dude! Shiny Drillbur! I was considering swapping out one of my Pokemon for a Drillbur, especially after seeing its Mega Evolution. That might have just decided it right there. I'm sorry, Finn. I think you're being replaced. He's shiny. He can Mega Evolve. I'm gonna name him Simone from Gurren Lagann. And here we go. Simone is about to evolve. Oh my god! Oh my god, dude! The fit is so hard! This is probably one of my favorite shinies I've ever found. I've never gotten to use a shiny on my team in a new game before, so stumbling across one randomly was a great experience. This was so cool to experience, but the funny part is that after all that, I still needed 2 more Gibble for the living dex. For now, I went back to exploring the city. I went on a coffee date with my Eevee named Bingus, which helped him evolve into Sylveon, convinced a boat captain to adopt a bunch of Binnacle, and caught a Spritzy on a roof, which was the 100th Pokemon for my living dex. Eventually, my side questing led me to the Lumiose Museum, where I encountered my absolute favorite side mission in the entire game. Hey, you look like a formidable trainer. See, we're really big Spupa fans, but our collection of Spupa accidentally got loose here in the museum. Please find our missing Spupa. There are 12 of them in all. So each of you is just running around with a full team of Spupa? Oh, I don't have to catch them. I just have to find them. Oh yeah, I am the world's best Spupa finder. Whoa, cool. That's not a Pokeball. Whoa, the power plants don't even. The Hisui balls! Pokeballs of the Hisui region, people of the time crafted their own Pokeballs using apricorns in the mineral tombstone. Sketches drawn by Professor Laventon, his original Pokedex was long assumed to be lost until a partial facsimile was found in the shed of a private house in the Sinnoh region. It is said that his Pokedex was not in fact completed by Laventon himself, but by a mysterious 15-year-old youth who appeared out of nowhere one day. This is one of the few times in the entire Pokemon series that a protagonist has been directly referenced, apart from Red, obviously. Oh my gosh! Survey Corps uniform. This uniform remained undamaged even when its wearer rolled over terrain to dodge attacks from wild Pokemon. It would withstand both heat and cold and is said to have even withstood the Pokemon moves. Remarkably, the red cap is believed to have always stayed in place no matter how the wearer moved. It's the crafting table! This is a crafting table! They put so much love in this game, dude. You found a lost Spupa that's doing a fine job modeling the haircut on display, because he's bald. They've even got the Dialga and Palkia statues. And Komodo's armor! And his normal uniform. Oh my, okay. Venerated portraits. Portraits said to have been displayed by the Pearl Clan and Diamond Clan. These individuals depicted with them are said to have represented the sun, sea, and land, but nothing concrete is known about their identities. A recreation, okay, of a kimono worn by Komodo, first commander of the Galaxy Expedition Team. The kimono uses many different types of thread and is ornately decorated, showing that much effort was put into its creation. You found a lost Pupa looking quite dapper with the armor of Galaxy Team's commander. You know what? This is cool, but it's also kind of sad. All our friends from Jubilife City, and probably the player character too, if they never found a way to go back to their time, are dead. And it's one of those things, like, you know, logically, like, this takes place hundreds to thousands of years in the future. Obviously, duh, they're gonna be dead, but it's still sad to think about. A suit of armor worn in battle by Komodo, the first commander of the Galaxy Expedition Team. It is said to have come from the Galar region, and bears a strong resemblance to the armor worn by Wickstrom, an Elite Four member of the Kalos region's Pokemon League. When contacted for comment, Wickstrom said it was possible this armor was one of several suits his ancestors gave to Galarians. However, it is difficult to verify such claims, given relationships between Kalos and Galar during the era. We're getting so much lore! What the This... Oh my god. Formal attire. This outfit is said to have been worn by the ancient Sinnoh people during their rituals. This group worshipped the Pokemon Arceus as an almighty deity. It is thought that they showed their respect by mimicking Arceus's appearances, even reflected in the way that they styled their hair. This is so interesting. So does this mean that Volo essentially started an Arceus cult? Found a lost pupa. There we go. We found them all. That was so cool. 13? What? Where'd the 13th come from? I don't know, but we can only take 12 of them between the two of us. Suppose the best solution would be to have this kind trainer take this new fellow off our hands. We can't leave it here alone, it might damage the art and end up in real trouble. I don't want the spupa. This was so cool, and there were actually a few things I missed here. Seeing Volo's outfit on display was pretty shocking, but the NPC next to the display says that the person who donated it claimed to have worn it himself, and that he also looked upon Professor Lavington's drawings with a sense of nostalgia, meaning that after all this time, this twink is still alive? Thankfully, the other lore reveal from the museum was much more positive. In an exhibit on the Galaxy Team Battlegrounds, it says that the Battle Master suddenly disappeared one day. This, in conjunction with an NPC saying that the Unova's battle subway recently reopened, means that Ingo was able to make it home, which is awesome. However, there's still one pretty big question left unanswered. Did the player character from Legends Arceus ever return to their original time? Maybe one day we'll get an answer to this, but for now, it remains a mystery. Oh, and that spupa you receive for doing this quest? Turns out it evolves into the marine pattern Vivian, which is the only way to get that form in the game. I actually didn't realize this for several weeks and thought I accidentally released it, but thankfully I did not and was able to get my special Vivian form. After my afternoon at the museum, I took care of a few more side missions before heading back into Wild Zone 8, hoping and praying I could get my hands on 2 more gifts. That catching plush was really worth it. Go! Finally, dude! Wait, this is ground type 50, so this will be... Am I about to get a quest to catch 100 ground type Pokemon? No! Okay, my ground... Okay, so it does max out at 50. I need to use the repeat ball! Yes, okay. I'm done! Let me out of here. Now that I had every Gibble needed for the decks, I got back to working on some more side missions. Eventually, this led me to a woman named Myrth who dreams of opening her own frou-frou salon. But Myrth is no ordinary entrepreneur. She's actually a representative of a secret organization lurking in the shadows whose power surpasses that of even the Kalos Elite Four. You'll see what I mean soon enough. For now, I'd made my way to yet another side mission. Whoa! Shiny! 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 Shiny Weedle! Dude! Second shiny of the day! I'm tempted to replace the Beedrill on my team with it, but I can't replace Dart. Dart's the homie. I love Dart. Now this might be hard to believe, but this wasn't the last shiny I found on stream. At this point, the game had been out for a few days, and data miners were able to comb through and confirm that the shiny odds were still the same 1 in 4096 that's been the standard since Generation 6. But it was also discovered that shiny Pokemon technically don't despawn. Up to 10 shinies can be saved into the game's memory, and if an 11th spawns, it'll overwrite the oldest shiny. This is pretty cool since shinies were super easy to despawn in Scarlet and Violet. But with this useful new mechanic, people realized that certain areas in the game could be used to infinitely go between loading zones to try and spawn as many shinies as possible. And by far, the most broken area for this was Wild Zone 3. This area is like a shiny printing machine. Because if you enter and then just hold back on the control stick, you're constantly gonna spawn in and out of the area, and shiny Pokemon don't despawn. So if you just do this over and over, all other regular Pokemon will despawn, but eventually a shiny will appear if you just hold down. So I do kind of want to do this at some point. Don't tempt me. No. Whoa! 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 Shiny Pyroar! Shiny Pyroar! See what I'm talking about? That's what I'm talking about! Oh my god! Yeah, safe to say that method's pretty broken. During all my exploring, I also collected enough colorful screws to buy the level 3 gold and blue plushes, meaning I only needed 16 more screws to finish off the plushie collection. And finally, after 5.5 hours of side questing, I had completed every side mission on the map and was ready to take on the next main story mission. After grabbing another challenger's ticket, I made my way to the Fist of Justice dojo, where Ivor was too busy to accept my challenge because his sister Gwyn was missing. So we stopped by the Looker Bureau to ask Emma to help find her. The three of us checked out City Hall, Nouveau Cafe, and Canary's game room of all places, which eventually led us to a Clawitzer fountain near the center of the city. Through Emma's detective skills, we deduced that Gwen was somewhere in the Lumio sewers, the entrance to which was currently underwater. I tried to convince Ivor to drink all the fountain water, but Emma had to be a killjoy and suggested we freeze the fountain water instead. So close. Osmosis Jones was able to freeze the water with Ice Beam, which allowed us to enter the sewers. This is one of the coolest areas in the game in my opinion, mainly because it's so different compared to every other point of interest on the map. Don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with the whole game taking place in Lumio City, I just wish we had more dungeons like this that add some variety to the game. The Pokemon you can find down here are also pretty cool. Noibat, Litwick, Skrelp, and you can even find Goomy, which normally can only appear in the rain. This is actually the best place in the game to farm Dragon-type catches for Mabel's research, since there are so many potential spawns of Noibat and Goomy. During our trip through the sewers, we befriended a sentient keyring, defaced city property, and finally found our missing person. Turns out, Gwen was hiding out in the sewers because she just needed some time away from her brother, and after spending an extended period of time with him, yeah, no, that checks out. But before we could bring her home, Gwen challenged us to a battle where another new Mega Evolution made its debut. Here we go! Chandelure, Mega Evolve, and finish them all! Oh my, dude, my friend Jacob's gonna flip. They love Chandelure. Oh my god, I can't wait to show this to them. So cool. Your Pokemon shine with justice. Now that the missing persons case was wrapped up, Ivor officially accepted my challenge, which meant I could finally take on my next promotion match. In case you couldn't tell, Ivor is Lumio City's fighting type master, and considering he wears a Phalanx backpack, I figured his ace would be a Mega Phalanx. But with how apparent it is, I started to think that it was a fake out, just like with Vinny's Baniri hair bun. Turns out though, I should have trusted my gut feeling. I'm glad to see Phalanx is in the game. Time to Mega Evolve Phalanx. Justice will win the day. What? Oh my god. Oh my god. That was so awesome. Excadrill might be my favorite new Mega, but Phalanx is a close second. With Ivor defeated, I reached rank D and returned to Hotel Z to relax after a very busy but very productive day. The next morning I met up with my fellow Team MZ members, but our hangout was interrupted by a call from the local mafia. I wish I was joking. Turns out Tawny borrowed some money from my local waste management company, known as the Rust Syndicate, and now owes them over $100,000. And since she didn't pay up, the rest of us were now on the hook for the loan. The Rust Syndicate leader requested a meeting with Lita and I, which is where I left things off for the longest day of the playthrough thus far. Between streams, I spent some time organizing my living decks and found that I had missed a few captures, which bumped my counter up from 117 to 123. I would try my best to keep my PC boxes organized for the rest of the playthrough, but it was going to look like a mess until I was done anyway. But that wasn't all I did. Just for fun, I decided to try out the Wild Zone 3 shiny method to see how broken it really was. I put my phone down on my joystick for about 20 minutes, and my first check found a shiny Alpha Skiddo, my first Shalfa in either Legends game. As I already mentioned, the chance for a shiny is still 1 in 4096, but the chance for a Skiddo to be an alpha is 1 in 20. So the odds of the Skiddo being both shiny and alpha was a 1 in 81,920 chance. This is probably the rarest shiny I've ever found. Shortly after, I found another shiny Litleo and Flabebe and decided that this method was a little too easy for my taste. So any shinies I found from here on out would either be from hunting or through random chance. On day 4 proper, I decided to ignore the threats of the Rust Syndicate and check out the newly opened Wild Zones 14 and 15. Zone 14 is filled with plenty of steel types like Aeron, Lairon, and Excadrill, which makes it the easiest place to farm steel type catches in the game. I quickly scooped up every Pokemon in the area, but had trouble catching a second Onix and Helioptile for the living decks. Just like with Gible, Onix hides underground and is super hard to catch for some reason. And Helioptile just wouldn't spawn for me, which I eventually realized is because it only appears during the day when it's sunny out. With a little patience, I was able to grab both and moved on to Zone 15. In comparison, this Wild Zone was much easier and helped me fully complete the Venipede and Pumpkaboo lines. Now that every Wild Zone was at 100% completion, I decided to take care of the most controversial part of the game. Shortly before release, the Pokemon Company revealed that all 3 Kalos starters would be receiving Mega Evolutions in Legends EA. Initially, fans were pretty excited, but this excitement soon turned to outrage when it was revealed that their Mega Stones would be locked behind the online ranked battles. Not only were people turned off by being forced to play the online mode, but some were upset that this mode requires a paid Nintendo Online membership. Don't get me wrong, I totally get people being upset over this, but I definitely think people made a bigger deal about this than they should have. In the ranked battle mode, you are put into an arena with 3 other trainers who all have 3 Pokemon. You earn a point for every Pokemon you KO, but when you get KO'd, you warp back to your original spawn point. Depending on how you place, you earn points, which will increase your rank similar to the in-game ZA Royale. New players start out at rank Z, and the goal is to reach rank A. But in this first season, players are able to earn the Greninjite Megastone at rank K, with the Megastones for Delphox and Chestnut coming in later seasons. Going into this, I was dreading playing online with random people, thinking it was going to be a tedious slog. But this mode is actually really fun. Thankfully, the meta of running around with either Xerneas, Skarmory, or Glaceon hadn't been ironed out yet, so by running Emboar, Excadrill, and Greninja, I was able to get first or second place in every match I joined. In less than 40 minutes, I was just one match away from hitting rank K. But just when I thought I could coast my way to victory, a true challenger finally emerged. What's that guy got a Goku? Wait. Goku with the Ghastly? Okay. Wait, how did this guy get up to L rank with a Ghastly? I did it though. I did it. Yes! RIP, the strongest man I've ever fought. Goku. Let's go! The Greninjite. Heck yeah. Come on, Greninja. Mega Evolve Osmosis Jones. He's so ridiculous. Dude, he's so cool. Okay, I thought he looked goofy in the trailer, but now that he's here, he actually looks super cool. Ooh, use Water Shuriken? I will. So I think I'm about to do some battles in the story. I will. At this point, I figured I'd kept the Rust Syndicate waiting long enough, so I finally met up with Lita at their HQ. 2 of the grunt workers tried to stop me, but with the power of Mega Osmosis Jones slamming a giant shuriken into their Pokemon, I was easily able to take them down. That's when the Syndicate's second in command, Felipe, stepped up to bat and wanted to test my mettle before meeting the boss. Osmosis Jones was able to easily deal with his Steelix and Scizor, but his ace definitely shook things up a bit. No way! As soon as I saw Skarmory earlier in the game, I'm like, it's gonna get a Mega, but this is still, oh my gosh! The Megas are so crazy! Oh my god, dude, that's insane! Now that I've proven myself worthy, I was granted access to a meeting with the Rust Syndicate's leader, Corbeau. Turns out, Tawny's $100,000 loan had racked up a ton of interest, so in order to pay it off, I was forcibly made Corbeau's 24/7 errand boy. To some, a fanfiction come true, but to me, an obstacle in my way to completing my Pokedex. For now, Corbeau told us to go about our day and that he'd call me when he needed me. So Lita and I regrouped at Hotel Z, where Vinny called us about a new batch of rogue Mega Pokemon. Truly, there is no rest for the wicked. This time around, I'd have to help Tawny with Mawile, Lita with Barbaracle, and Naveen with Ampharos. Even though my imagination was running wild as to what Mega Barbaracle could possibly look like, I booked it to help Naveen so I could finally get my hands on the Ampharos side. With the rogue Ampharos defeated, I could now Mega Evolve every single member of my team. Except for Bingus, my trans son who I love, but he's good enough without a Mega Evolution. Mega Barbaracle was next, and honestly, it's okay. I like regular Barbaracle just fine, and think giving it a Mega was a good idea, but I don't really know how to feel about this design. Compared to the other Rogue Megas, Mawile's battle was uneventful, and I grabbed my final Megastone of this section. Back at the hotel, I was immediately called by Corbeau, who was ready for me to do his dirty work. First, he wanted me to take care of some so-called troublemakers that had taken up residence in a nearby building without the owner's permission. First, there's anti-homeless benches in this game, and now we're kicking homeless people out onto the streets? When will this capitalistic nightmare end? Turns out the squatters were a couple of Gengar, who I was happy to take care of since catching one saved me from having to trade to evolve Haunter. Next, Corbeau wanted me to clear out a bunch of Mega Crystals from the Lumiose sewers so they wouldn't impact the wild Pokemon living there. As he was inspecting my work, Corbeau also decided to drop a bit of lore. Before he was the head of a completely legitimate waste management company, he was once homeless before being taken in by none other than Lysander. He then wonders why Lysander did what he did 5 years ago, revealing that it's only been half a decade since the events of X and Y. Honestly, I thought it would have been more than that based on how developed Lumiose City is now, but I guess that's still believable. For my final job, I had to take care of members from the Society of Battle Connoisseurs who were impeding on Rust Syndicate turf. Turns out they were just being annoying and trying to tell a bunch of kids how to enjoy Pokemon battling, so honestly I felt justified in chasing them back to their part of town. Honestly, besides the part where he forced me to do his bidding, Corbeau doesn't seem that bad. What seemed to be a bunch of euphemisms about keeping the streets of Lumiose clean are actually true, and it's clear he wants to protect the city where he grew up. I really didn't think I was going to like him when he was first revealed, but during this part of the game, he became one of my favorite characters. Just after dealing with the Society of Battle Connoisseurs, Corbeau and I happened upon a group of protesters outside of Quasartico's building. Turns out, these people aren't too thrilled with a shady organization filling completely livable areas with wild animals and want the CEO to take accountability for her actions. But like a true CEO, she avoided accountability by using the working class as a scapegoat. Corbeau and I worked together to take down the sharpest jawline I've ever seen, and I was temporarily relieved of duty while Corbeau figured out what to do with me next. Turns out I didn't have to wait too long, as Corbeau called me the second I returned to the hotel. Because he was impressed with my service to the city, he decided to forgive the interest on Tawny's loan and free me from being his personal servant. But that wasn't all, as Corbeau revealed that he would be my next opponent in the ZA Royale. I had to grind a bit for my next Challengers ticket, and during the grind, I decided to take a little detour. Thanks to one of my livestream viewers, I was able to take care of nearly every trade evolution for my living decks. I still needed the Metal Coat for Steelix and Caesar and the King's Rock for Slowking, but it would be way easier to do those in the postgame. With my decks more than halfway done and the Challengers ticket claimed, I returned to the Rust Syndicate building to have my next promotion match. Corbeau specializes in Poison-type Pokemon, though he interestingly has a Gyarados on his team. While this isn't confirmed, I like to think of this as Corbeau honoring Lysander, whose ace Pokemon is a terrifying Mega Gyarados. But unlike Lysander's, Corbeau's Gyarados doesn't Mega Evolve. Instead, he gives that honor to his partner, Scolipede. There it is, let's see it. Scolipede, as long as you're with me, I can face any pinch with a smile. Oh my gosh. Mega Scolipede is one of the coolest megas in the game. If I didn't already have my heart set on using Mega Beedrill, I definitely would have picked one up. Now that I was rank C, I was free to return to Hotel Z for some celebratory slop that is the only thing I've eaten since I stepped off the train. Just curry, bread, and dark roast coffee. Do you think they sell Tums in Lumios? Before I could chow down, Corbeau appeared in the lobby demanding to stay in one of the vacant rooms. The next morning, he was so impressed by Tawny's housekeeping skills, he tipped her the 100k needed for her to pay off her debt. See that? Kid's got a heart of gold. Sure, he forces people to work for him against their wills, but he was nice to me once, so that makes him a good person. AZ then decided now was a good time to give Lita and Naveen Mega Rings, even though we've already taken down almost a dozen Rogue Megas. But now that they can Mega Evolve their Pokemon, surely they'll use them in the next Rogue battles, right? Right? Lita and Naveen requested to have a battle with me to test out their new Mega Rings, but I was far too busy with 2 new Wild Zones. Zone 16 was easy enough to 100%, with many of the encounters like Phalanx and Medicham running right towards me the second I entered the area. The real challenge here was catching 2 Froakie for my living decks. Not only is there one Froakie spawn located on top of the central pillar, but the second it notices you, it'll despawn. This means you only have one shot at catching it, otherwise you'll have to wait for another Froakie to come around. The obvious solution is to use the nearby bushes to try and sneak up on it, but when every Phalanx on the map is constantly gunning for your location, it makes it kinda difficult. I ended up waiting until nighttime so I could catch both Froakie with a Dusk Ball and completed the evolution line. Following this, I went to check out Wild Zone 17, unaware of the torture I was about to endure. If Wild Zone 8 was my own personal hell, 17 was my own personal hell plus 9. There are only 7 Pokemon in the area, and at this point, I only needed Skarmory, Pyroar, and 2 Chespin. It all seemed so simple. As soon as I entered, there was an entire pride of Pyroar asleep right at the entrance, so that was pretty easy to take care of. Chespin was located on the lower part of the zone in burrows that were mostly populated by Diggersby. With enough patience, I was able to grab the 2 I needed. So all that was left was Skarmory. I hate this stupid bird now. This one Pokemon took me nearly an hour to catch. There's only one Skarmory spawn in 17, which is right next to the Pyroar Pride. There's basically a 0% chance of you catching Skarmory without weakening it, but engaging in battle guarantees waking up the Pyroar. Oh, but nerdy, I hear you say. Why don't you just climb the ladder to the roof to get away from the Pyroar? Because these Pyroar are relentless. If you aggro them, they will fire off earth powers and hit you from across the damn map. Sometimes at night, I wake up in a cold sweat afraid that these Pyroar are still out to get me. Even when I was able to isolate the Skarmory spawn, this thing did not want to get in the ball. Failed catch after failed catch, I started to lose what little sanity my sleep-deprived mind had left, and for the first time in a long time, was legitimately angry on stream. I normally do a cute little montage of me failing this capture over and over like I did with Gibble, but watching this back honestly made me embarrassed at how mad I got. In my defense, I'd gotten very little sleep since the game came out, and knew I should have stopped playing a while ago to go outside and touch grass. But I couldn't rest until I caught the damn bird. I see you, bird. Okay, he is lower level than me. Maybe this will give him some additional juice. Nope. Yeah. Oh my god. Finally! Oh my god, dude. That was crazy. Zone 17 had been conquered, and I ended day 4 with my head held high. Day 5 was the shortest day of the playthrough, clocking in at a measly 3.5 hours. But don't worry, we still got a lot done. I started the day by granting Lita and Naveen their battle requests, excited to see their new Megas. Lita's battle was a huge letdown, as she didn't yet have a single Pokemon that could Mega Evolve. Naveen, on the other hand, knew how to put on a show. Okay, Naveen's actually got a pretty busted team. Way better than Nita's. Oh, here we go, Mega Scrafty. Okay, that's pretty sick. As cool as Mega Scrafty was, he couldn't stand up to the power of Mega Pork Beans, and I claimed another victory. During our post-battle coffee break, we were approached by the rider's barely disguised fetish, who introduced herself as Laban. She's the head maid for the leader of the Society of Battle Connoisseurs, Jacinthe, who requested Tani and I join her tournament for competitors in the ZA Royale. The tournament was to be held at Hotel Rishizme, so Tani and I recruited Naveen to help us get decked out for the event. While I was more than happy to don some fancy attire, Tani refused to change out of the outfit she always wears. Suit yourself, Tani. If we're spending time with the high society folk, I'm gonna look my best. Many familiar faces were in attendance for the tournament. Canary, Gwyn, Ivor, and even Corbeau. And none of them wore fancy clothing? Why am I the only one who showed out? Now I look like a jackass. At last, our gracious host joined us to kick off the event. Jacinthe officially welcomed us to Le Super Tournoi de Jacinthe, a round-robin tournament made up of Lumio City's strongest trainers. I'm a huge fan of tournament arcs. I'd marry the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai arc from Dragon Ball if I could. So getting an official tournament arc in my Pokemon game? This is everything I've ever wanted. But because Arceus has favorites, and I'm clearly not one of them, Vinny called Tani and I to deal with more rogue Megas, which forced us to withdraw from the tournament. A fact that Jacinthe wasn't too pleased with. As Team MZ discussed how to deal with the rogue Frostlass, Altaria, and Venusaur, Jacinthe crashed our strategy meeting to try and get Tani and I to rejoin the tournament. For now, we were able to brush her off, but we wouldn't be getting off that easily. No matter where I went in the city to take down rogue Megas, Jacinthe was using her holophone to keep tabs on my location. Somehow, Lumio City's pretty pink princess was more intimidating than an actual organized crime syndicate. Even with the added stress of being under Jacinthe's watchful eye, taking down the rogue Megas was a piece of cake with my overleveled team. Tani and I then decided to rejoin the tournament, but Jacinthe didn't get the memo and trapped us in her patented Jacinthe zone. Here I was forced to battle the SBC underlings, who were absolute pushovers considering that they only had second stage Pokemon. Things were different once Laban hit the field. Finally letting loose, she came at me with nearly every fully evolved dragon type in the game. A lesser man would be afraid, but Bingus bows to no man or dragon and swept through her first few team members. Laban's ace Dragalge was able to stop the sweep, especially after Mega Evolving. I gotta say, I love this design. It's so eerie, but in a majestic sort of way. Beating Laban deactivated the Jacinthe zone and got the dragon type master to open up a bit. Turns out she was once a rough and tumble fighter who loved Pokemon battling and fist fighting, but after losing a battle to Jacinthe, she was forced to wear her current getup and become her personal servant indefinitely. Now that the Jacinthe zone was deactivated, I was free to rejoin the tournament, but along the way, I got a bit distracted and ended up working on side content for the rest of the stream. The main thing I wanted to take care of was collecting the final colorful screws, which would earn me the last couple plushies that I needed. While I was searching the city, I also stopped by a few cafes, which took care of the cafe research tasks. And not too long after, I reached 1,000 Mega Crystals broken, which checked off another research task. It's also worth noting that in between streams, I finished off each task that required catching 50 Pokemon of a certain type. I figured it was repetitive enough to be too boring for streams, so I didn't mind doing it offline. Finally, I had collected the last colorful screw needed and excitedly rushed to Racine Construction to receive my reward. Hey, if you got some colorful screws, I'll trade you a canary plush for them. And the last one. Green Canary plush, hey, I hear this help you withstand more hits. And hey, with that, you now own every single canary plush I had to trade. Here's some fresh, exciting info for a plush head like yourself. Bring me every last colorful screw still out there. I'll reward you with a giant canary plush. And how many are out there? It's confirmed that there are 100 screws in total in the game, not 99 like the sum of everything in your list would suggest. So there are 23 more out there in the world. Yeah, that kind of sucked to figure out. Though, honestly, I should have known better. These types of collectibles always come in sets of 100. Notwithstanding, I still made a lot of progress towards 100%ing the game and was ready to come back tomorrow to progress even more. By the start of day 6, I was tired of having to avoid story spoilers, so I had one mission for the day. Focus on the main story and don't stop until I hit the credits. At last I returned to Hotel Rishizme to enter Jacine's tournament. This competition had me rematching many of the trainers throughout the story, now with higher level teams. Just like before, Canary, Ivor, and Corbeau were defeated, and I was ready to face the Lady of the Hour, until Zygarde crashed the party. Lysander then appeared and explained that Zygarde was also itching for a rematch. Jacine thought it was a marvelous idea and even got Zygarde to pose for a tournament bracket photo, which is pretty funny. Before the battle, Jacine mentioned that she recognizes Lysander as he once was a notable figure in the Kalos region, but Lysander responded by saying that it doesn't matter anymore because he no longer remembers his past life. So it seems that he developed some sort of amnesia after firing the ultimate weapon. Whether it was directly caused by the ultimate weapon or indirectly from a blow to the head remained a mystery, but for now, I had a legendary to fight. After our last encounter, Zygarde had Lysander collect enough Zygarde cells for him to transform into his 50% form. He was definitely able to put up more of a fight than before, but was completely walled by Bingus's Dragon-type immunity. Post-battle, Zygarde ran off, and Lysander promised to collect the rest of the Zygarde cells to prepare for the danger swiftly approaching Lumio City. What this danger could be still escaped me, but it seems that Lysander might actually be a completely different person than who he was 5 years ago. Is it possible that he's actually trying to help? I didn't have time to ponder this for too long, as it was finally time to battle Jacine and determine the winner of Le Super Tournoi de Chancy. Also, this is a promotion battle. I forgot to mention that earlier. There wasn't really a good place to naturally inject that into the script. In case you couldn't tell by everything about her, Jacinthe is the master of Fairy-type Pokemon, a type that my team was very well equipped to take care of. It did make the drawn-out build-up of her battle a smidge anticlimactic, but at least her battle theme is a banger. Seeing Mega Clefable for the first time also was really cool, and I love that it can fly and gains the flying type. Not a mon I would have thought to give a Mega to, but it definitely deserved one. With another victory in the books, I was promoted to rank B and was one step closer to getting my wish granted by Quasartico. The next morning, AZ told us that Prism Tower was nearing a breaking point, and the only thing that could stop it was the strongest Mega Evolution user, and Mega Floette. Yeah, AZ's living breathing nuke of a Floette is capable of Mega Evolution. With the game's climax fast approaching, I first had to deal with the final batch of rogue Megas, Dragonite, Tyranitar, and the brand new Mega Starmie. One of these is very different from the others. First I had to stop by the 2 new wild zones that opened up, which are the last zones that open before rolling the credits. Between zones 18 and 19, I caught several fully evolved Pokemon like Salamence, Altaria, and Noivern. Also nabbed 2 Fennekin and a few Eevee for the living decks, but would have to come back later to get all the Eeveelutions. Fortunately, I was still able to 100% both zones, and I returned to the main questline. At this point, you know the drill. I ran around the map, helping each of the Team MZ members deal with the rogue Megas. This part of the game honestly made me wish they didn't show Mega Dragonite before release. Imagine how crazy people's reactions would have been to seeing this thing for the first time in game. At least they let us have a raw reaction to Mega Starmie, for better or worse. Once the final rogue Megas were defeated, I was paired with my final promotion match challenger, a mysterious trainer named Grisham who had somehow gotten to rank B without anyone knowing what he looks like. Luckily, I happened to know the best detective in town who would surely be able to help me track him down. But in exchange, Emma requested to have another Pokemon battle with her fully powered up team this time. Something I find cool about her team is that every one of her Pokemon is capable of Mega Evolution, but she saves that honor for her most cherished Pokemon. Just like with Dragonite, I think this moment would have hit a bit harder if we didn't get an entire short film about Mega Malamar before release. I'm also disappointed by the fact that this is Mega Malamar's only appearance in the entire main story of the game. The My Friend Malamar trailer hyped him up to be this big intimidating force, and they didn't really do anything with it. I still think it's a cool Mega, I just wish it was utilized better in the story. After defeating Emma, she told me to seek out Mabel at a research lab for more information on Grisham's whereabouts. Upon visiting her, Mabel revealed that she was once a member of Team Flare, and so was the man we're looking for. This moment's so funny to me as someone who already knew who Mabel was. It honestly makes me think of that one scene from South Park.
Now you know my terrible secret! You're gay? Fine if you're gay, Butters, I don't care.
Mabel confided to me that while many Team Flare members were arrested after the events of X and Y, she took a plea deal and agreed to work at Sycamore's lab where she'd be easy to keep track of. She also told me that Grisham was an up-and-coming member of Team Flare before everything fell apart, and that I'd be able to learn more about him at Nouveau Cafe. At the cafe, I asked for a meeting with Grisham, and the barista who we've ordered coffee from several times throughout the story revealed that he was Grisham, the boss of Team Flare Nouveau, which really just consists of him and his friend, girlfriend, sister, whoever the hell she is, Grizel. He told me he had his reasons for entering the Zia Royale and asked me to meet him elsewhere to learn more. The location of our meeting turned out to be the decrepit remains of the Lysander Cafe, a front for Team Flare's underground HQ. Outside of the cafe, Grizel demanded a battle with me for daring to stick my nose into their affairs, and I happily obliged. especially since I got to wail on the absolute worst Mega in the game. It's literally just Pyroar with a little extra hair gel. Just as a reminder, they said they didn't give Flygon a Mega Evolution because they couldn't think of a good design. As a reward for my victory, Grisha began a combination trauma/lore dump. He reveals that the ultimate weapon Lysander used 5 years ago was AZ's creation. By his logic, if AZ never created the weapon, Lysander would have never used it to destroy Kalos, Team Flare would have never disbanded, and its former members never would have been rejected by society. To prove to me that he's telling the truth, Grisham told me to travel into the ruins of Lysander Labs to find Team Flare's research on the ultimate weapon. Admittedly, I hated going through Lysander Labs in X and Y because I could never remember how to get through, and I always ended up just running in circles. But getting to explore it several years later, now in ruins and crawling with dangerous wild Pokemon, was not only pretty cathartic, but it was so cool to get to experience for the first time. You can actually find many familiar rooms and objects while exploring the labs, and once you obtain the elevator key, you can even find the holding cell where Team Flare kept AZ locked up. Ah, memories. Eventually I made my way to the lowest level of the compound, where I was able to power on the computer and access Team Flare's old files. These files didn't tell me anything I didn't already know. The ultimate weapon was created by AZ to bring his Floette back to life at the expense of many other Pokemon, but Lysander suddenly appeared to drop the real bombshell. 1,000 years after AZ made the ultimate weapon, he made another device that is housed within Prism Tower. When the ultimate weapon was used 5 years ago, Lysander and anyone in the Blast Zone was saved by Zygarde, who had reverted to his 10% form after exhausting his power. And in response to the ultimate weapon being used, the device in Prism Tower activated, which eventually led to Pokemon undergoing Rogue Mega Evolution, and will soon lead to the destruction of Lumiose City. The only way to stop this from happening was by returning Zygarde to full power and by Mega Evolving AZ's Floette. Having all the facts, I returned to Grisham, who made a simple request of me. Give AZ's Floette to him so he can be the hero who saves Lumiose. And finally, they will be redeemed and no longer looked down upon in the public eye. Which honestly makes me laugh, since the only reason anyone would know they used to be Team Flare members is because they dress like Team Flare grunts and use the Team Flare symbol in their cafe's branding. You're really just doing it to yourself, guys. Unsure of my next move, I returned to Hotel Z to hear AZ's side of the story. He confirmed that everything we learned from Grisham was true, and that the device in Lumiose Tower is called Ong. Ongi? Angie? Hold on.
Ange.
What she said. AZ was commissioned to create the device to help protect the people of Kalos by its former king, but it was never used since it needed Floette to operate. Now that Ange was on the brink of going berserk, AZ is too old to wield Mega Floette's power, and now requires another Mega Evolution user to take his place. This is why he asked Quasartico Inc. to host the ZA Royale and seek out the strongest trainer in Lumiose. Naveen was justifiably angry at AZ for putting everyone in danger, and points out that we could all die trying to clean up his mess. All AZ could do was apologize for his past sins and hope that we had what it takes to stop Ange before it was too late. More determined than ever, I returned to Grisham to tell him I wouldn't be giving up Floette so easily. So the only way I'd let him be the one to use Mega Floette's power is if he could defeat me in battle. Unlike the previous promotion match trainers, Grisham doesn't have a new Mega Evolution. Instead, he uses good old Mega Charizard X as his closer, which is fine by me since it's one of the best Mega Evolution forms by far. But it wasn't enough. With Grisham's defeat, I had finally reached rank A and became Lumiose City's strongest trainer. Though I wasn't alone, as Tawny was also able to reach rank A while I was dealing with the whole Team Flare situation. So the next morning, the two of us would have to decide who would be the one to shut down Prism Tower with Floette. But before that could happen... Nerdy, you alright? I'm gonna find out what's happening. Meet me by the elevator. Good, everyone's okay. What even was that, an earthquake? No, it's something to do with Prism Tower. It looks like things are taking a turn for the worse. Let's get to the roof so we can see it for ourselves. Hey, Floette, you're okay. We are fine, but I thank you for your concern. You'll recall how Floette seemed pained earlier this evening? I wonder if she might be responding to Aang in some way, so I came up to the view of the tower. Look there. The time I feared has come. It won't be long before Aang goes rogue as well. The excessive mega power spoken before, that which the tower has been emitting, will likely cause an explosion of rogue mega evolution across the city. Hey Vinny, this is about the tower? It is. The situation looks dire. We need you on this right away. I understand, we'll head out now. Once Floette has Mega Evolved, she can take on the power of the tower, the power of Aang. Then the tower can assume the form it has always intended to take, Aang Floette. You must help the tower attain its true form if we are to stop it from destroying the city. I would only slow you down if I were to go, so I will remain here and support you from afar. Maybe you can cook us up something good to celebrate when we get back, AZ. That is a fine idea. I'm familiar with so many different cuisines. Floette, good luck. I am counting on you. I know you'll prove yourself equal to this task, Nerdy. I am so grateful that our paths crossed. The Zygarde cell. It's gonna hop in my bag. Oh, this is the one! This is the one from the beginning of the game! It was officially go time. I raced to the bottom of Prism Tower, where Vinny asked Tawny and I who would be the one to deactivate Ange. Tawny suggested that we battle to decide, but the tower was seconds away from going crazy. I would have just let her do it, but bowing out wasn't an option, so I had no choice but to take down Tawny in battle. She put up a good fight, even revealing her Mega Feraligatr for the first time, but ultimately my team was able to best hers. But then she threw a fit and got to be the one to turn off Ange anyway? Then why the hell do we have to battle? In spite of Tawny only being Lumio City's second strongest Mega Evolution user, she was able to Mega Evolve AZ's Floette, and the two of them entered Prism Tower. At first, the plan seemed to have worked. Mega Floette used her Eternal Flower, and the pink light emanating from the tower dissipated. Unbeknownst to us though, Ange played by playground rules and hit us with the nuh-uh maneuver. Wild vines reminiscent of Floette's flower erupted from the tower, destroying it and sending debris across the city. Ange had somehow managed to overtake Mega Floette's power and use it for itself. By some miracle, Tawny managed to survive the initial surge of power and told me that she could see Zygarde in the Magenta District. But before we could figure out how to navigate the decimated city streets, a pair of rogue Mega Pokemon interrupted our conversation. It seemed that AZ's fear had finally come true, and Pokemon all across the city were being forced to Mega Evolve against their will. Even though we were able to defeat the rogue Megas, there was no way we'd be able to reach Zygarde on our own. Just when things looked their darkest, Canary popped up with her Holocaster to offer her services. But it wasn't just her. Thanks to Vinny, every character we met throughout the story got the memo on what was going on and offered to help get me to Zygarde. And I just gotta say, this moment hit so hard. For the last handful of games, it's apparent that Game Freak was trying to make your journey feel like you weren't alone, and that you have friends backing you up who are also on their own journey. And while I feel like they nailed this in Scarlet and Violet, this was definitely a nice victory lap. In the most Avengers-ass moment I've ever seen in a Pokemon game, the next section was a mad dash to Zygarde where I was aided by each of my friends and rivals I made throughout my journey. Each time a new batch of Rogue Megas appeared, I knew one of these characters would be there to have my back and help me find my next path forward. Alvor used a broken piece of scaffolding to get me across a river, Tarragon built an entire obstacle course to get me to the next section of the city, and Corbeau did this.
You were supposed to put up a ladder here, so tell me, why don't I see one? Am I just an idiot who can't spot a big old ladder?
Well, we tried setting up a ladder, boss. We even tried the Holovators, but...
And what? All your trying doesn't seem to have resulted in anything to show.
Well, rogue Pokemon busted them up, boss. They smashed everything.
Guess we gotta do something about this ourselves then.
Are they gonna make a human ladder? Oh my god, that's totally it. Boss, Mr. Corbeau, we've already fallen off the straight and narrow, and at this rate, we're gonna fall short here too.
Looks like we're one person short. Only one thing to do. My grunts are giving their all, and as their leader, I need to give just as much and then some. Don't you worry about me. My word's my bond, and I'm not breaking either tonight. This is our highest calling, literally. No need to hesitate. Climb on up. I mean it. Don't dilly-dally. You better climb up quickly because I don't know how long we'll last.
That's awesome. You actually get to climb them? This game is amazing.
Go get him, nerdy.
Oh, that was badass. If ZA doesn't win Game of the Year for that part alone, Jeff and I are gonna have words. At last I had reached Zygarde and Lysander, who was only able to find 99 of the 100 Zygarde cells. But as luck would have it, the final Zygarde cell had stowed away in my satchel, the same little goober that stowed away in my bag back on the train when I first came to Lumiose. Now that all 100 cells were gathered in one place, it was finally able to transform into Zygarde Complete, and the real final battle could begin. As Zygarde fought Ange from the sky, my team and I fought her tendrils on the ground level while the problematic posies pelted us with whatever they could. Lasers, poison gas, blunt force, you name it. At the end of each phase of the fight, we also got to command Zygarde to strike at Ange Floette's core. My favorite part of this is that you can see the first time it happens that the player character doesn't look sure of what Zygarde wants, but as the fight progresses, he becomes more confident in giving Zygarde commands, leading up to the big finale where Zygarde is able to unleash its strongest attack, Core Enforcer. In one fell swoop, Zygarde nailed Ange Floette and brought an end to the monster's rampage. But apparently not, since Ange is a master of the double nuh-uh technique and decided to fire off a giant energy blast into the sky that would nuke Lumiose off the face of the planet. Just when it looked like this might be the end of everything, something started shaking inside my satchel. It was the regular pebble Zygarde had given me earlier in the story, but this was no ordinary pebble. It was the Zygardeite Mega Stone. With just seconds to spare, Zygarde underwent Mega Evolution, and holy crap did he look cool. The Super Saiyan hair, the giant cannon on his back, and is anyone getting Ultra Necrozma vibes from him? With his newfound strength, Zygarde was able to unleash the full power Core Enforcer, now known as Nihilite, a 200 base power Dragon type move that is able to hit Fairy types and ignore stat changes. I can't believe it. Zygarde truly mastered the triple nuh-uh technique. Mega Zygarde was able to stop Anja's attack, and finally, Lumio City was safe. Tawny and Floette were thankfully unharmed and reunited with the rest of Team MZ and I, except for AZ, who was able to see the firework display from the Hotel Z balcony, surely feeling the weight of a 3,000-year-old mistake lift off of his shoulders. And just like that, I had finally beaten Pokemon Legends ZA. By far, this was the greatest climax of any Pokemon game story. There were super high stakes, the cast of characters all came together in the end, the final battle was excellently done, and don't even get me started on Mega Zygarde. Though, honestly, I'm surprised everyone made it out alive. The story of ZA is all about the cycle of life and death, so if there was ever going to be a death in a mainline Pokemon game, this felt like the one to do it. But I guess everyone made it out alive. No, dude! AZ's 3,000-year life finally came to an end. They had definitely been building up to this throughout the main story, with AZ mentioning his failing health and not being able to battle anymore, but I honestly didn't think they'd go through with it. While it was sad to see him go, I definitely felt like Game Freak did right by him as a character. In X and Y, AZ felt so out of place, almost like an immortal cryptid that popped up whenever the plot demanded it. It was so great getting to actually know him this time, and learning that even after all these years, he truly regrets his actions and wanted to leave the world a better place than he found it. Such a fitting conclusion to his story. But as for my story, I was nowhere near done with this game. I still had quite a bit to do if I wanted to 100% ZA. I know this video is already long enough, so I'm just going to go over the broad strokes of the postgame. Now that the city had returned to normal, Quizartica was ready to grant my wish for reaching rank A. I initially wished for more Pokemon to catch, but they straight up told me no, and the game forced me to wish for the ZA Royale to continue indefinitely. Screwed over by the billion-dollar corporation once again. This kicked off the Infinite ZA Royale, which allows you to earn Challengers tickets to rematch all the trainers we met throughout the story. I would need to tackle this to unlock one of the final story missions, but for now, I wanted to explore Wild Zone 20, the final Wild Zone in the game. This place was home to several fully evolved Pokemon that saved me a ton of time that I would have spent grinding for evolutions. The Alpha Roulette was the biggest help, as I was able to grab difficult Pokemon like Garchomp, Pangoro, even a few of the Evolutions. Of course, the coolest encounters in Zone 20 are the Gen 1 and ZA starter Pokemon, all above level 50, so they'd be able to instantly evolve. For my living dex, I needed 3 of each of the starters, except for Tepig and Charmander, who I needed 2 of. These little guys are the rarest in Zone 20 and only have a maximum of 2 spawns each, so getting all the duplicates required a bit of patience. After 45 minutes, I had claimed 15 of the 16 starters and just needed a Squirtle to finish the collection. By this point, I was ready to turn in for the day, but I knew that if I just kept pushing, I'd find exactly what I was looking for. No! 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 Oh no, oh no, 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 I don't want... Wait. Yes, dude! Oh my god! No way! Well, that was pretty cool. Having every starter Pokemon and their evolutions put me just shy of 200 Pokemon for the living dex, putting me in the perfect position to finish my dex the following day. To start off day 7, I tried out the Infinite ZA Royale and easily won my first rematch against Zach. The poor guy hadn't even leveled up his Pokemon since the last time we met. No wonder he lost his promotion match 100 times. As soon as I collected my reward, Lita called me and asked me to return to Hotel Z. Upon my arrival, I came face to face with Lysander, who warned of the arrival of Kalos's other legendary Pokemon, Xerneas, the one who gives, and Yveltal, the one who takes. For these final 2 story missions, I had to work with the former members of Team Flare to locate the legendary Pokemon so I could challenge them to a battle. And I hate to say it, but these missions are pretty underwhelming. They boil down to learning about the legendary, doing some random wild battles, and battling the legendary without much fanfare. I vastly prefer Legends Arceus' post-game because the legendaries felt much more fleshed out. I did enjoy watching Yveltal crawling around on all 4s though, that was pretty cool. Both legendaries were super easy to catch, and I figured the next course of action was to track down Zygarde. I returned to Hotel Z, where Lysander requested I battle him so he could determine if I was truly worthy to become Zygarde's trainer. For the first time since the beginning of the game, I actually struggled during our battle. His team was the highest level I'd faced so far, and I actually got pretty close to losing. Just before his Mega Gyarados could crush my team, Dart landed a clutch X-Scissor and won me the battle. In recognition of my victory, Zygarde beckoned me to Wild Zone 20, where the true final battle of the game would commence. This battle has 3 phases corresponding to Zygarde's 3 forms. First, in his 10% form, Zygarde zipped around the map, which not only made it hard to hit, but also to avoid attacks since he was firing from all directions. Defeating him transformed him into the 50% form. Zygarde doesn't move at all during this phase, and instead opts to fire off spread moves to damage any Pokemon that gets close. The third and final phase of the fight saw Zygarde return to his complete form, which was an absolute menace. Zygarde was firing off every move it had in its arsenal, and throughout the fight would fire off Core Enforcer to cover the entire field. This fight gave me a lot of trouble, and I actually lost my first attempt and had to grab more healing items for attempt 2. But with enough persistence and a lot of Moonblasts, Zygarde was defeated and I caught the final legendary Pokemon in the game. Lysander now had no reason to stay in Lumiose and revealed that he would be traveling the world to try and make it a more beautiful place. The right way this time. But before we left, he dropped a bit more lore. When Zygarde is left in a weakened state, its cells scatter around and absorb energy from the places it resides. He then mentions that Mega Zygarde's Nihilite looks an awful lot like a Z-move from the Alola region, which finally explains what Zygarde was doing in Pokemon Sun and Moon. As Lysander left, I was pretty sad to see him go. I've always hated him as a character, and the last thing I wanted was a redemption arc for him. But I have to admit, they cooked with his plotline. And while I'm more than certain this is Lysander's final appearance, it sure would be great to see him again. With the legendary quest behind me, I decided it was time to finish the living dex before doing anything else. The last things I needed to finish the dex were 2 Eevee, 1 Beldum, and a handful of items for trade evolutions that were hidden behind side missions. Once I grabbed the final few Pokemon, I spent the next hour evolving everything needed for the dex. Thankfully, I had just enough EXP candies for the level up evolutions and was able to trade with my chat again to deal with the trade evolutions. Despite a slight hiccup where I accidentally evolved one of my Eevee into a second Sylveon instead of Umbreon, I quickly reached 229 Pokemon for the living dex. All I had to do was evolve Sliggoo into Goodra, which unfortunately required it to be raining. I essentially just had to spam A at a bench for several minutes to reset the day over and over, but eventually got the weather I was looking for.
Oh my god, it's time! I got the rain! And with that, I have not only finished my Pokemon Legends EA Pokedex, but I have completed a full living dex in Pokemon Legends EA. As you can see, all my Pokemon have been collected for the Legends ZA Living Dex. That is one of the biggest completionist tasks done.
At this point, there really wasn't a whole lot left to do. Sure, I still had plenty of side missions to finish, but a majority of the super tedious tasks had already been taken care of. Well, except for one. I touched on this earlier, but one of Mabel's research tasks requires you to win a certain amount of trainer battles. The number starts out at 5, but gets higher and higher the more battles you win. And in order to complete the highest level of this task, you have to win 1,000 trainer battles. And after doing almost everything in the game, I had only done a little under 200. There's unfortunately no way of getting around this super tedious grind that was sure to take dozens of hours. However, there was a way to reach 1,000 battles without having to do the work myself. And it's all thanks to a little thing called a macro. For those who don't know, a macro is a single button that when pressed activates a sequence of buttons. People have used macros for years to automate tedious grinds in video games. I used a macro earlier this year when playing the Oblivion remaster to constantly jump up and down to max out my acrobatic stat. And using a macro in Legends EA would allow me to automate the trainer battle grind. Let me introduce you to Restaurant Lena. By paying $3,000, you can fight 3 low-level trainers in a row, which earns you more than $6,000 in rewards. So by setting up a macro to constantly spam A to get to the text boxes, and spam ZL and B to use a move, I was able to turn the 1,000 battle grind into a completely automated process. I used my 8BitDo controller for this, as neither the Switch or Switch 2 has the ability to set up macros natively. But there are a few different ways you can do this at home. I recommend checking out Austin John Plays, who has plenty of tutorials on how to set up macros for Legends EA. Before I could let the macro take over for me, I spent the rest of day 7 and all of day 8 knocking out side missions and some other stuff that needed to be checked off my to-do list. I know I've been glossing over most of the side missions in this video, and that's mainly because if I went into detail on all 119, this video would probably be 3 times as long. But I also want people to experience these for themselves. Pretty much anyone else who I've watched play or stream ZA has barely touched these side quests, which is a shame. I've already talked about how much they flesh out the in-game world, but they're also just really funny. I'm a day 1 Avalugg hater, but watching my alpha Avalugg carry a bunch of Bergmite on his back actually got a smile out of me. There's even a side quest where you reunite with the trainer whose Pancham steals your bag at the beginning of the game, and you become friends with them both. please, if you haven't already, do the side missions in this game. I promise you won't regret it. During the side mission grind, I also followed a guide to find the final 23 colorful screws needed to get the big canary plush. But when I reached the end of the list, I was still missing 2 screws, meaning I'd have to check all 100 spots all over again to find the ones I missed. If any game devs are watching this and you're working on a game that has easy to miss collectibles, please put the collectibles on the map once the player finds them. It would have made my life so much easier. On the plus side, I also collected enough Mega Shards to purchase the final Mega Stones from Quasartico Inc., which wasn't all of the Mega Stones in the game, but it did earn me enough EXP to reach research level 49. As day 8 came to a close, I set up my macro controller to finish out the trainer grind and came back the next morning to claim my reward. Alright, I have done it. And by that, I mean the 8-bit do macro has done it, which means I am able to claim the final reward. As promised, a shiny charm for you. Nice work researching level 50. Oh my goodness. Got a level with you, kid. You've gone right through all the rewards I prepared. So I guess all I can say for now is well done. You've been a really big help and I appreciate it. So the only research I have left to do is getting all the Mega Stones, which I think I can actually do right now. I got a lot of money. All right, we're coming down here. I don't think we're gonna have enough, but let's see it. Gengarite, Abomasite, and Feraligatr. Oh wow, we actually did it. Oh, we did it! We completed all the research tasks! I came up with a new research task you can do for me. No, you did not! No, you did not! I did it! I completed the entire research task. So I have not only completed my living dex, I have done all the requests that Mabel has given me. With the biggest grind in the game now over, I spent some time checking every colorful screw location and eventually found the 2 I had missed. Having all 100, I received the big canary plush, which isn't a key item. You instead find it in your room at Hotel Z, and while it's a fun reward, I couldn't help but feel dread over what would happen if this man got his hands on it. I also found a Pokeball sitting next to a note left by AZ. He left me his Lucario from earlier in the story, who was originally owned by Karina from X and Y. He thanked me for helping him in Team MZ's efforts and reflected on his many years of life. He also revealed that it was his mother who gifted him Floette, and that he was present in Galar when the darkest day happened. This dude is honestly the Beerus of Pokemon, a character that wasn't created until recently, but somehow has ties to every major event in the series. Now that I had finished the living dex, the research tasks, and the collectibles, all I had to do were the side missions. I spent 2 hours off stream, slowly but surely completing every one until I had reached 117 out of 119 side missions completed. I felt like the final 2 were interesting enough to show off on stream, so I decided to put them off for now. The last thing I did before my final stream was grind out the Infinite ZA Royale. In order to finish out the last main mission, I had to win 15 Challengers rematches. So I reached 14 wins and grabbed my 15th Challengers ticket, which set me up to finally finish this run. The final day began with me doing what I'd consider to be my second favorite side mission in the entire game. Remember way earlier in the video when I mentioned that Furfrou stylist? After doing a few missions for her, she'll eventually confide in you that there's a secret organization in Lumiose known as the Furfrou Elite Four. She gave me the locations of each of the Elite Four members and challenged me to defeat them all while only using Furfrou on my team. Thankfully, I unlocked this quest before doing the 1000 battle grind, so I stuck a bunch of Furfrou in my party to gain levels so I wouldn't have to use my stash of EXP candies. But a few hours before the stream, I thought it'd be cool to do this quest with a shiny Furfrou on my team. So I fast traveled to Wild Zone 19, ran around for a bit, didn't see a shiny, so I fast traveled back and tried again, and found a shiny Alpha Furfrou as soon as I entered the second time. Just a cool 1 in 20,000 chance, no big deal. Now that my Furfrou team was complete, all with fresh new haircuts, I visited the various restaurants throughout Lumiose to defeat each member of the Furfrou Elite Four. I actually had grossly over-prepared for this quest as each of my opponents only had 1 Furfrou each, but I suppose it's better to be safe than sorry. After defeating the final Elite Four member, I was told to visit Cafe Wolf to meet the champion of the Furfrou League, and when I arrived, she also had a shiny Furfrou as her ace? What a copycat! Defeating her wrapped up the side quest, which meant I only had 1 side mission to go. But for some reason, the final side mission doesn't unlock until you've won 20 rematches in the ZA Royale, so first I needed to complete the final story mission. The 15th rematch in the Infinite ZA Royale will always be against Tawny. She had the same team as when I fought her at the Prism Tower, except she now has replaced her Avalugg with AZ's Floette. A wise choice if I do say so myself. After our battle, Emma showed up and revealed that she had finally tracked down the person who Tawny had been looking for since she arrived in Lumiose City. Turns out, she's been looking for her grandmother, who was none other than Jet, the CEO of Quasartico Inc. We get a little lore dump on Tawny's mom and how she developed the holotechnology that both Quasartico and Team Flare used before leaving both behind to enjoy some relaxation in another region. And then she died, leaving Tawny an orphan. Jet then decided to step down from Quasartico rather than face the backlash of them nearly destroying the city and appointed Tawny as her replacement. And to my surprise, Tawny accepted this? She claimed it would help her mission of protecting Lumiose City, but would it really? While Quasartico's mission is to make Lumiose a place for people and Pokemon, their efforts have only really benefited the Pokemon. A majority of the NPCs you talk to about the wild and battle zones across the city find them to be a hindrance to their daily lives. There was also the fact that Quasartico nearly destroyed the entire region. I really didn't like this conclusion to Tawny's story. They teased this plotline throughout the entire game, which made it seem like a pretty big deal. But not only did they wait to wrap this up until the post-game, Tawny piecing out from Team MZ and becoming Quasartico's CEO just doesn't really feel in character for her. As a consolation prize for this disappointing final story mission, Tawny entrusted both AZ's Floette and the Floettite to me, which meant I now had every Megastone available in the game. And while the Eternal Floette doesn't count for the deck since it's technically another form of regular Floette, finally having her felt surreal. AZ's Floette, while not being obtainable until this game, has been a phantom amongst the mainline Pokemon games. Eternal Floette and her signature Light of Ruin move exists in the data for every 3DS Pokemon game. There's even data for her within Pokemon Home, despite it not being in the data for any of the Switch Pokemon games. It's clear that Game Freak has wanted to get this special Floette into our hands for years, and only just now has been able to do so. With the story of Legends ZA now fully complete, I just had one thing left to do. I ran through the ZA Royale 5 more times, which unlocked the final side mission at Hotel Richisme. Jacinthe welcomed me and asked me to join a new tournament, Le Super Tournoi de Jacinthe O, with the O standing for Only Jacinthe, a bracket-style tournament where the only 2 competitors are Jacinthe and myself. God, I love this game. After beating the exact same team 4 times in a row, the tournament came to an end and I was officially done with the final side mission of the game. Time! That is the Pokemon Legends ZA 100% done. I have done all side quests. I completed the Pokedex. I finished the story. I did the post game. I did the whole damn thing. Oh, this feels good to be done. Yeah, about that. In between finishing the 100% run and finishing the video, 2 new pieces of side content were added to the game. The first was the second season of online ranked matches that now offer the Delphox Megastone as a reward. This was actually even easier than Greninja, as I only had to reach rank S this time around, which took all of 3 battles to do. The second thing I had to do was download the Deancai Megastone through Mystery Gift, which unlocked a new side mission. This mission saw Emma, Mimi, and I working together to track down the mythical Pokemon Diancie, who had recently appeared in Lumiose City. Despite being Diancie's mission, Emma and Mimi were the real stars of the show. Emma finally name-dropped Looker and talked about the events of X and Y's postgame. She even mentioned her friends who appear in the XY postgame are still helping out at the Looker Bureau after all this time. I do wish we got a bit more from this mission, but I still had a good time while playing. At last, I had arrived at the rooftop where Diancie appeared and challenged me to a battle. Fun fact, if you KO Diancie here, the game will automatically start the battle again, so you actually have as many chances as you'd like to catch Diancie in your preferred Pokeball. But because I had put enough hours into completing this game, I just chucked my Master Ball at it frame 1. This ended the final side mission and meant that I had officially 100%ed Pokemon Legends ZA. For now. With the DLC coming out next month and the next 2 ranked seasons being confirmed to give out Megastones, it's clear that Legends ZA will have a lot of content in the near future, and I for one am very excited. I truly love this game, flaws and all, and would welcome any excuse to play it even more than I already have. I even have another ZA video completely recorded and have started working on a third. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, it would mean a lot if you liked the video and subscribed. And if you want to financially support my future projects, you should consider becoming a channel member. For just $2 a month, you get early access to new videos, a shout out in every main channel upload, and exclusive behind the scenes content. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll see y'all.
Wait. Okay. So before the video ends, while I was editing, 2 new things came out. First, the Chestnut Eye Megastone came out in the ranked mode. I got that, and then they made a mystery gift with the Mewtwo Megastones, and then I caught Mewtwo, and then Mabel said that Team Flare canonically caught Mewtwo that was living in the Pokemon Village Cave in X and Y. So if you caught Mewtwo in Pokemon X and Y, that wasn't canon. And Team Flare is the one who caught that. Okay, now I have 100% of the game. I'm done with this video. It's been I've been working on this for like 100+ hours. I'm done with the video. Okay, bye.